to and welcome to this episode of Grace Podcast. I'm Timothy Muse. I'll be your host as we spend this time together today. It's a joy to be with you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for making this podcast a part of your day. And as always, I want to thank you for being on this journey, for your being here. The fact that you're listening, the fact that you're looking, the fact that you're questioning is such a powerful thing. And I want to thank you for being on that road, for being involved in this process. I am elated that I'm able to come alongside you to give you something. So thank you for involving me. Thank you for making this podcast a part of your day, a part of your journey. And thank you for being on the journey. When you get better, we get better. That's just how it works. When one person expands, everybody expands. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. It is such a joy to have the opportunity to speak to you on some of these topics. It really, truly is. I really look forward to being able to bring something forward for you that I hope brings you a little bit of nugget of information, some questions, whatever it is. If this podcast is helpful, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. I post on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can follow me or the life coaching on any one of those feeds. You're going to see these episodes. So share them. Put them out there. If you're on one of the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, give us a rating and review. Every positive rating and review tells the platform that people are listening, and you get notifications when a new episode comes out. And if you want to reach out to me directly, GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website. I truly would love to hear from you. GraceLifeCoaching.com is how you can get a hold of me. It would be truly incredible if I could come alongside you, do some coaching, maybe some Reiki or some sound bath or some meditation or whatever I can offer to help bring you peace, balance, and hope into a new day. It would be totally awesome. So GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website. You can get a hold of me there. I'd love to hear from you. So we've been moving through the power of social media in our lives and how this platforms, affect us and what they do for us. Today, I want to talk about something that affects each of us really deeply, and that's relationships. This is connected yet not alone. Relationships in a digital world. Think about this for a moment. We live in the most connected period in human history. At any moment, we can text someone across the country, video chat with someone on another continent, send photos instantly, share thoughts with hundreds or thousands of people, reconnect with old friends, join communities that share interests. All these things the social media platforms allow us to do. Yet despite all this connection, loneliness continues to be one of the biggest challenges facing modern society. I read somewhere not long ago that loneliness is the new smoking. Okay? That's how bad it is. That's how terrible it can be physiologically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. How can these both be true at the same time? How can we be more connected than ever, yet feel so disconnected? That's what I want to explore today. I want to talk about the difference between connection and relationship, why social media can sometimes increase loneliness, the importance of real conversations, how digital communication affects friendships and family, and particular ways to build stronger, healthier relationships in our daily lives. That's where I want to go. So first, I want to talk about connection. And connection is not the same as relationship. One of the greatest misunderstandings in modern life is believing that connection automatically creates relationship. Well, it doesn't. Connection is easy. Relationships require effort. Think about social media. Think about the platforms. You may have hundreds of friends, thousands of followers, dozens of group chats, countless online interactions. But how many people truly know you? Again, remember, this is a cultivated environment. So how many people truly know you? How many people would answer the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning? How many people know your fears, your dreams, your struggles, your story? Real relationship requires trust, vulnerability, consistency, persistence, presence, and time. Social media can create connections, but connections must eventually become conversation if they're going to become relationships. Many people today have large networks, but very small support systems. And those are not the same things. We can have large networks, but support systems are really, really important. And this is why loneliness is increasing. Let's talk about loneliness. Loneliness isn't simply being alone. You can be alone and perfectly content. Loneliness is feeling unseen, unheard, unknown, disconnected. Many people spend hours interacting online, but very little time having meaningful conversations, having meaningful connection and interaction. Think about how often communication has become, quick reactions, emojis and memes and short comments and brief messages. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Please don't hear me in any of this say that the platforms are evil. The platforms are the platforms, okay? They're inherently nothing more than a platform. How they're used is evil. Remember I said before, a hammer is a hammer. A hammer can build a house and a hammer can tear a house down. But that doesn't give any kind of identity or ontology to the hammer. It's all about the one who uses it. It's all about the hand that holds the hammer. And the same is true with this tool. Social media is a tool. It's a tool that we use, and it's a wonderful tool, and it can have an expressive and incredible impact, but it can also be different. It can create this idea of connection while we are digging into this loneliness. So these things aren't bad. Quick reactions and emojis and memes and short comments and brief messages, there's nothing wrong with these at all, but they cannot replace deeper human connection. A thumbs up is not the same as a conversation. A comment is not the same as understanding. A follow is not the same as a friendship. Human beings need more than contact. We need connection. We need belonging. We need meaningful relationships where we are known and accepted. When social media replaces rather than supplements those relationships, loneliness only increases. Because, again, the cultivated expression online is not the true self. We see what we want to see, but we are not truly seen. Okay, so loneliness continues to increase. Loneliness, this deep despair of being unseen and unheard and unknown, continues to increase, even if our connections and our followers and our friends increase. So what we need to do in order to supplant that is have good, deep, face-to-face contact and connection. Have you ever noticed how difficult it has become for many people to just simply sit and talk? Just sit and talk. Without distractions, without checking phones, without multitasking, without interruptions. Deep conversations require attention, and attention is becoming increasingly rare. Remember, I just did a piece on attention, and that all of these platforms are vying for our attention, and they're hitting the notifications and the buzzes and the connection. And so it's really difficult to sit and just have a conversation without the phone coming out, without things happening. Even if you're having a conversation and someone has a question, so they pull their phone out to, research a piece of information. Well, that's a distraction. That has already supplanted the conversation. Attention is becoming increasingly rare because many people are physically present, but mentally somewhere else. Checking notifications, reading messages, scrolling feeds, watching videos, responding to alerts. The result is partial attention, and partial attention creates shallow communication. One of the greatest gifts you can offer another person today is your full attention. Your full attention. No advice, no solutions, no fixing problems, just presence, listening, being fully engaged. Because when people feel heard, they feel valued. And when people feel valued, relationships deepen. I think that's one of the greatest social ills that we experience in the world today, is that people just don't feel heard. They don't feel that their needs are being heard, that their place in life, that their experience is being heard. But when people feel heard, they feel valued. And when people feel valued, that's when relationships deepen. And that value only comes when we are face to face or having that conversation uninterrupted, with our attention fully in the moment, undistracted. That's the word I was looking for, undistracted. So what has happened is, in the process of the platform evolution, social media has transformed friendships in many ways that are positive. We can maintain connection across great distances. We can stay informed about people's lives. We can reconnect with old friends. We can find communities we never would have found before. And those are real benefits. They really, truly are. But there's a challenge to that. Everything has a pro and con, okay? Everything has a benefit and a struggle. But there are real benefits to these things, but there are challenges too. Because sometimes we mistake awareness for closeness. Okay. Sometimes we think, I know what's happening in their lives because I saw their post. But knowing about someone is not the same as knowing someone. I know that's kind of like a word puzzle, but it's true. Knowing about someone is not the same as knowing someone. You may know where they vacationed, what they ate, what events they attended, but still know very little about their heart, about their being, about their place in life. True friendships require interaction. They require conversation. They require shared experiences and mutual support and trust. And the strongest friendships usually move beyond social media into real life connection. That's where the power is. And it's not just in friendships. It's also in family life as well. You know, it's not just in our friendships and our relationships. It's in our inner circle as well. Think about family life. How many homes today have these experiences? Several people sitting together, but everyone looking at separate screens. Physically together, but emotionally elsewhere. Technology isn't necessarily the enemy. It's not, but it does compete for attention. And relationships require attention to grow. Children notice when parents are distracted. They notice when they're, physically present, but they're on their phone or they're on their computer or they're on their tablet, emotionally somewhere else. Spouses notice when conversations are interrupted. Friends notice when someone is only half there. Relationships thrive when people feel important. One of the greatest questions we can ask ourselves is, do the people I love receive my best attention or what's left over after my devices are finished with me? That's a challenging question, but it's one worth asking. I'll ask it again. Do people that I love receive my best attention or what's left after my devices are finished with me? Whatever the emotional fallout of my devices are, is that what the people closest to me, the people that I love, get from me? Because if it is, then a reorientation of priorities and attention is in order. Because the people that I love, the people that are closest to me, the people that are closest to you should get your best. And Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or WhatsApp or whatever should get what's left. Not the other way around. But oftentimes we go first to our platforms, first to our connections, and then those who are closest to us get what's left of us. And that's not fair. And that's not going to build strong, healthy relationships. And there's another challenge that comes up within the midst of relationships and the digital age relationships, and that's conflict. Social media has changed the way people disagree. Online communication removes many of the things that help conversations stay healthy. We lose facial expressions, we lose tone of voice, we lose body language, we lose the immediate clarification. As a result, misunderstandings increase, assumptions increase, arguments escalate quickly. People often say things online that they would never say face to face. I know throughout my years, I've had people say things to me that they would never say to me in person, but they say in messages or in comments. Why? Because distance reduces empathy. It's easier to forget that there's a real person on the other side of that screen. This is one of the reasons social media has become so emotionally exhausting, because it's easy to forget that there's a real person on the other side of that screen. People are constantly exposed to outrage and arguments and criticism and negativity and polarization. But healthy requirements require empathy. They require listening. They require understanding and respect. Those qualities become harder to maintain when communication is reduced to quick reactions and comments. So let's break it down here. What do strong relationships need? What do they really need? Let's simplify it. What does a strong relationship actually need? Not technology, not perfect communication, not constant contact. Strong relationships need time. Relationships grow slowly. There are no shortcuts. They grow with time and investment and empathy and connection. They need attention. People need to feel seen. They need to feel that they matter, that I see you, I hear you. I may not be able to fix it. I probably can't fix it, and you probably don't want it to be fixed, but you want to be seen. And not just your joys, but also your sorrows and your struggles and your fears. People need to be seen. They need to feel seen, and that comes with attention. Individual, undivided attention. Relationships need trust. Trust is built through consistency. It's not saying you're going to show up. It's showing up. It's not saying you're going to see them. See them. Trust. Building trust. Relationships require vulnerability. You cannot have deep relationships without openness, without vulnerability. And relationships require presence. Being fully there matters. The challenge is that social media often encourages breadth rather than depth. More contacts, more followers, more visibility. But meaningful relationships are built through depth, not quantity. Quantity is the numbers, but quality matters more. You build stronger relationships by having that quality time rather than that quantity. Now, you can build those quantity connections. And maybe, like me, as someone who's trying to bring information out, of course, I want people, more and more people to hear it. I want those connections. I want you to share this out there for others. I want to get this in as many people's hands as possible. That's fine. But quality in relationships matters more than quantity. Okay? So let's break this down. Let's look at some practical steps to strengthen relationships in this digital age. This age that isn't going away. This age that isn't going to change. Technology is only advancing, getting bigger. The platforms are getting stronger. The algorithms are getting smarter. The interruptions and all of those things are getting more and more complex. So how do we build strong relationships in the digital age? We can't get rid of the digital age. I know I hear people say, I wish we could go back to the time before. Well, we can't. So how do we, in the midst of this, build strong relationships? Okay, here's one thing. Have one uninterrupted conversation each day. Each day. No phones, no screens, no distractions, just genuine conversation, be it with your spouse or your kids or your friend. Have a conversation. It doesn't have to be a deep conversation. It doesn't have to be, digging into the depth of the soul. It can be very routine conversation, like how was your day, or how did you sleep, or what are you hoping for the day? But do it without your screen. Don't do it with your phone in your hand. Do it with your phone in your pocket. Do it with your phone in the drawer. Do it with your phone still on the nightstand. Have one uninterrupted conversation each day. Another thing is to reach out personally. Instead of liking a post, send a message. Okay. Now, again, you're using the technology. So reaching out personally, that can be a little bit more difficult. But you can still personalize. So rather than liking a post, send a message. Or instead of commenting, make a phone call. If you can't be next to someone, make a phone call. Create real connection. Because even in a phone call, you can hear tone of voice. You can hear cadence. You can hear where people are at. So reach out personally, not just digitally. Practice active listening. This is so important. So important. Listen to understand, not simply to respond. Okay. So often, someone will say something and they're interrupted with an answer or a response before they finish what they say. And I have to go back and say, can you let me finish what I was going to say? Because I was going to say that exact same thing. Now the conversation has become different. Actively listen. Listen to understand. Let the person speaking complete their thought before responding. That's actively listening. Schedule face-to-face time. Whenever possible, prioritize in-person interaction. Human connection is powerful. Human connection is powerful. Human interaction, human energy, one-to-one is so powerful. So schedule face-to-face time. Put devices away during important moments. Meals, conversations, family gatherings, date nights. Protect those moments because they matter. When we don't protect them, all we're doing is prioritizing the device over the moment. Prioritize the moment. The important moments. Look, if it's just a Tuesday evening and you're just kind of settling in to watch, reruns of whatever you want to watch, or you're binge watching something on Netflix or Hulu, that's different. You want to pull your device out, scroll a little bit, it's fine, great. But those important moments, those moments of deep interpersonal connection, protect them by making it a device-free time. Meals, conversations, family gatherings, anything like that. We have a rule at our table that no devices during the meal. And usually we can hold on to that. Sometimes in the midst of my life, sometimes, I can't. But usually you can hold on to that. Put the phone away. The phone doesn't have to be next to you. And my phone's usually behind me on the buffet while I'm eating dinner because I just don't want it. I want to be present. So put devices away during important moments because those important moments matter. This is what builds relationships. This is what builds presence and trust and vulnerability. This is what is important. So those important moments, put your device away because that's where you build the relationships. Look, I want you to remember something important. Human beings are not just information sharing creatures. We are not just walking dictionaries or encyclopedias or walking Googles, all right? We are relational building creatures. We need more than updates, more than likes, more than comments. We need belonging. We need friendship. We need community. We need people to know us and care about us. Social media helps us connect. Of course it does, across vast times and locations, but it cannot fully replace genuine human relationships. At the end of life, most people will not wish they spent more time scrolling. They will wish they spent more time with the people they love, and that's worth remembering. So here's your challenge. Have one intentional, uninterrupted conversation every day. 10 minutes, no phones, no screens, just presence. Pay attention to what happens. You may be surprised by how meaningful simple conversations can become. That's what I got for you for today, my friends. I hope it's helpful. If it is, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. If you're on one of the listening platforms, and follow us, give us a rating and review. If you want to reach out to me directly, GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website. I truly would love to hear from you because at Grace Life Coaching, we want you to be the best you.